That's so chunky in a really interesting way.
So chunky.
I gotta say that that was not what I was expecting. In the best way. Dude, their lead guitar player is great. Like, I'm a sucker for a bunch of delay and reverb, and I loved all those just kind of very spacey leads. That's kind of my bread and butter, and I love that stuff. But I seriously was expecting like a lot more grunge, a lot more Nirvana, like hearing them stripped down. That was a very pleasant surprise. Like, in the best way. I mean, I thought they were going to be good regardless, but that was cool.
Mm-hmm. It's more of like an indie, like 90s indie thing, as opposed to like a 90s grunge sort of sound, I would say. Yeah,
definitely a little bit there. And there was even that, like, one of my favorite parts is when he drops to the drummer drops to the kind of like the floor groove, right, with the tom beat, and it's like that guitar part comes in, it's like and it does like that little, like, you know, kind of weird little thing, but it doesn't last long. It's one of those hooks that's like, oh, this is very different for this song, and then we're gonna go into something completely different, you know?
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that really caught me that I always love little things like this is at the end of the kind of like, it's not really a guitar solo because it's like a relatively simple repetitive thing, but like coming out of the last chorus, that kind of jammy section, there's a note that gets hit by the lead guitar, and then the entire band changes to a different chord, but they stick on it for like an extra like second or two, and there's this really interesting dissonance that happens there that I found very captivating. It was super cool.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because watching them play acoustic, Tyler had mentioned it earlier, we play in a bunch of like alternate tunings, so we're kind of making up chords. Whenever we see bands playing in standard tuning, it always fascinates us. And this band, like, just because like we have, I think at this point, maybe 3 songs that are in standard, but like, that's not what we do, and that's not what we like really focus on. And so watching this band play, I was struck by, I was like, man, they're playing some crazy chords. Like, the one dude had, I want to say, all 5 of his fingers down, and so they just have a really cool way of playing. That I was expecting. I was ready for the dissonant chords because of getting to hear them play. But they're obviously all crazy talented musicians.
You're sitting there right at the front of the stage, just like staring at the guitarist's left hand, like, what is going on? How do you play that chord shape? That looks so intense.
What am I? Am I at a rock gig right now? What's happening?
This isn't Thundercat.
No, it was Thundercat. That was great. I mean, like, literally, some of the chord shapes that they were doing looked painful.
I always find it interesting because, like, I will do some stuff like that when I'm like recording guitar for different things, where it's like I'll have this chord shape that I'm like, all right, I can kind of play it, but not super comfortably. And so it's literally just, I'll do a take where I literally just wait through the entire progression and just have that chord ready to just punch in the one chord, and then it'll be like, all right, and comp the take together so that I can hit that chord.
Listen, comping rules. It rules.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny. I saw a video the other day that it was like Billie Eilish talking about comping vocals, and they record like 70 takes and then comp the best, syllable of each word out of those 70 takes. And it was so interesting reading the comments section of that video, because so many people were like, this is the death of real music and blah, blah, blah. Like it was the same sort of talking points that non-musicians get into with like auto-tune and things like that as well. And it's just so interesting knowing what goes into making music, and like it's just another tool. They've been doing that since the analog days. Like, it's nothing new.
Absolutely. And not to get too nerdy down it, but it's not just a tool.
Get as
it
nerdy
is a
as
skill.
You want, man. That's what this is about.
All right, well, then I'm going to get nerdy. Listen, the foresight of having, first of all, to record 70 takes, like, I don't care who you are, like, I could hear the argument of, oh, well, like, a good musician could do it in 3. Billie Eilish is an amazing singer, and she probably could do 3, and they could probably tweak it with a little auto-tune, but she's a perfectionist, and she likes to do 70 takes. So first of all, the commitment to do 70 takes, you've got to applaud that.
That's a lot of time and a lot of effort.
A lot of effort, and we were talking about how just going through our record over and over again, it all starts to sound the same. So to have the awareness to go through 70 takes and go like this, 0.5 seconds seconds of audio is what I need for this part and this part, like to create a whole painting at the end that is just magnificent. Like, I don't know how you argue that that's not way more work than just getting in a booth and doing it 3 times.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, it's to the point, like it's the audio equivalent of when people like look at these amazing paintings and they're analyzing the specific brush strokes, right? It's like nobody's going to notice that except for other people who do that exact same thing and are like, oh, well, clearly they used this kind of brush. And it's the exact same thing, but for audio.
But I love the thought of that. Can you imagine, like, so back in the day, and some people just talking shit about Rembrandt, they're like, did you hear that he used like a number 9 brush for that? What a cheater.
Wow. He's clearly just buying his way into the industry. He can't do anything without all those different brushes.
Let's see him try doing that with oil painting, huh?
Back in my day, we just grabbed we just grabbed paint and used our fingers.
Oh my goodness.
I'm actually very proud of that analogy.
It was good.
Yeah, I love that.
So what are we moving on to here? What is our next tune going to be?
So this is an algorithm find. So I'm
hail the mighty algorithm.
All hail the mighty algorithm. I was just getting teased about this earlier, and it never fails. Every time I bring it up, I get teased for it. But I think I might be the lone non-Spotify user on the planet. I think I'm the one single-handed.
Are you an Apple Music guy?
No, even more obscure. Amazon Music.
Really?
I think I'm the only one keeping that
Amazon
company alive.
Music person I've ever met.
I might be the only one. I think like they've been trying to shut down the program for years, but they're like, we can't let our one user.
This one asshole in Nashville, like he's just clogging up all the bandwidth.
Hey, but my algorithm is great. But
hey,
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, this one popped up. You know, I mentioned earlier, I'm a little bit older, so like this one for me just transported me immediately back to high school. They're a newer band,
okay,
called Military Gun, and it features another singer called Daisy, but the band is Military Gun, and the song's called Pressure Cooker, and I love it. I hope you love it. We're gonna play it now.